Yo, what up, Sci Fam? It's your boy Nickel. I'm coming to you through this electronic device, tapping into your hearing sensory system, being processed by your brain. This whole thing is going down because your nervous system is intact. Nervous system? Well, let's learn about what that's all about. So we're going to title this page Nervous System. We'll define it. We'll look at the senses. And then we'll look at the actual anatomy, or what a neuron looks like if you were to label its different parts. So, like I said, we're going to dive into the nervous system. Okay, so to kick it off here, you can go ahead and just select nervous system or write it there on your page. Let me get a good color here that will stand out as I write. So the nervous system converts sensory information. So these are information we get from our senses. And it converts that information into electrical signals. And it converts it into electrical signals to detect and respond to stimuli. And stimuli can really just be like any change to the environment. So before you were listening to this video, you were not looking at a video, you were not listening to instructions, and now that you are, your body is hopefully responding by copying down the things that I'm writing. So by listening and seeing, you're able to use your sense of touch to create your science notebook page. So the senses that we have, the typical 5 senses, are just our sight, our taste, our smell, our hearing, and our touch. So we are able to do all of these things, and we can see different things, taste different things, smell different things, hear different things, and touch different things, and get a different signal in our brain based on those differences. So we can detect and respond to lots of different things that we input from our senses. And there's typically 5 senses. Some people argue that there may be some more, like our sense of balance and so on, could be included. But let's look at what makes up a nervous system. So a system is a lot of things that work together, and in this case, it's a lot of different neurons that work together. What's a neuron? Good question. Neurons are just our cells that transfer electrical signals within the nervous system. So you could kind of think of them as neurons are nervous system cells. And they kind of look like this. They've got this blobby head on one side, a long tail kind of thing, or an arm with some long tendril type like finger projection things. And so when we look at this kind of middle piece here, this is the nucleus of the cell. And the nucleus of the cell is kind of living in this general region right here, and this general region of the cell is called the soma. The soma is like the cell body, the main cell area. And all these little arms then down here on the soma, this is called the dendrite. So this whole head of this neuron is called the dendrite, whereas this tail-looking thing down here, this is called the axon. So we have our axon and our dendrite. Now at the very end, where all these tentacles end here on the far right, this is our axon terminal, because terminal means that something ends, so that's where our axon ends. And then something to note are these kind of blue things here that I'm coloring blue. These are actually like layers of fat. And these layers of fat are really important. We'll learn about those in just a second here. But each of these are called myelin sheaths. And we have lots of these little sheaths that run along our axon, and they're super, super helpful. And so what happens is that electricity comes into our dendrite, chemicals stimulate our dendrite, and it sends an electrical signal from the dendrite down the axon to the axon terminal. So the last thing we need to add here is a big, thick arrow to show that this is the direction of the electrical flow. So it moves from the dendrite down the axon is the direction of our electrical flow. Okay, so this is important because some neurons can allow electricity to go back and forth, and some can only go from the dendrite down to the axon. So let's define what each of those vocab terms are, these parts of the neuron that we just identified. So the dendrite is the area that receives the signal. The axon is the thing that then sends the signal on to the next neuron. So there'd be another neuron over here that would get the information because it would be near this axon, and the information would jump to the next one and it would send it down that neuron. So the dendrite receives the signal, the axon then sends the signal on. Those myelin sheaths, those are basically insulation. So if you think about even a power cord or an extension cord, it has some type of like insulation around it so that the electricity doesn't dissipate and go to something else, like your finger when you touch it. So that insulation helps keep the electricity moving in the correct path. So in this case, the myelin sheath is made out of fat, actually, and it's an insulation that increases the speed of the electrical signal. So it can travel faster, but it's not on all neurons, which is interesting. But this is another reason why it's really important to eat healthy fats, because your healthy fats make the myelin sheaths on your neurons that help transfer the signals faster and faster and faster down the axon. And the last part here is our soma, which is the main cell body. It's the main part that you normally see if you saw a cell. So that means that it contains the nucleus and the other organelles. Well, there you have it. There's your introduction to a neuron. Say hello. Good to know it. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.